Hey there, and welcome back into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. My name is Sam Hind, and today I'm going to be giving you my 5 top tools for doing great video wherever you are, whenever you want to. Now, I know that video is one of those things that really challenges a lot of people. You wonder, how do I do good video? I feel uncomfortable doing it. Or maybe you compare yourself to other people. I know a lot of us fall into that little bit of a category there where we are constantly looking at others and thinking, I can't do it as well as them. And so we hold back and we don't do anything at all. And I often get asked by people, how do I do better at video? I know I need to show up, but I don't feel like I do a very good job. So what do I need? Now, I'm going to start off with this episode by saying that it's really easy to assume that the tools are going to fix the problem, but in actual fact, there are 5 tools I highly recommend that you have available if you can, but it doesn't come down to the tools, it comes down to you. And my first hot tip here is show up. Show up wherever you are, whenever you feel inspired to do it. The best videos I've ever done have been those impromptu ones where I've just had a little epiphany or an aha moment, or I've done something or created something and I reckon my audience would love me to share this with them. Those are those times that my videos have been at their absolute best because they're real, they're relatable, they're raw, and my energy is in the right place as well. There's nothing worse than showing up to do video when you are just not in the right mental space. Your energy is infectious. So here's what I would recommend. If you're driving in the car and you suddenly have a little aha moment, or you think of something, you think, you know what, I'm in the right place at the right time. I'd love to talk to my audience right now, but I can't because I don't have the right equipment. I'm in the car. The tech isn't right. That's not a good enough reason. Pull your car over, put your phone on the dashboard and just talk. In fact, I did a video just like that a number of years ago, and it was by far the best video I've done in many, many years because I was real. I was in the right place. The tech didn't have to be right. And I actually received an email from someone who is in the tech space. And they said to me, in fact, this was a videographer. So I really regarded their opinion highly when they wrote to me and said, do you know, I really, really love that video you did. You didn't have all of the equipment. It was just on your phone. It was in the car. But he said, do you know, it gave me the feeling that I was actually in the car right there with you. And I thought that was a really good little reminder that sometimes we think we need all the tech to do a great job. And in fact, that's what's holding us back. So don't stand in your own way. Just show up. And sometimes you'll learn from that as well. So that's the first thing I want to say as we get into this episode. Now, this one's a really quick episode. I know that you don't always have heaps of time. So I wanted to throw one out there that you could quickly listen to. You could get a few hot tips, some great little words of advice, and get on with your day. So here are my top 5 tools for doing great video anytime, anywhere, no matter what. So the first of those, I'm going with basics here. So I will say, as I'm going through this, I'm considering tools that I've used for many years. So we're not talking expensive techie tools, we're talking basic tools that are important. So there are 3 key elements here that you need to consider. And the first of those is sound. So your sound is very, very important with social media. And if you don't get your sound right, people will tune out very quickly. Remember, you've got about 3 seconds to get someone's attention. So the first hot tip I've got for you is sound. Now, there's a few ways you can do well with sound. The first of those is make sure that you've got some of the basics, which are your headphones. Now, I've got 2 different options here, and depending on what I'm doing will depend which of these I use. Your AirPods, and I've got a funky little case on mine, but these are just traditional Apple AirPods that are in this, cute little pink rubber case. That is so I don't lose them in the pit of despair, which is my handbag. But your AirPods, guys, are a good way of improving sound, but only ever so slightly. So your phone camera, interestingly, is one of the best, most powerful cameras you could ever use. If you've got a relatively up-to-date mobile phone, so I'm on an iPhone 11 here. So I think if you've got anything, like even a 7 or an 8, like your mobile phones have got the most amazing cameras on them, even if they're not the most up-to-date one. Samsung, doesn't matter what you've got. Like, they've all got great cameras. So your camera will be good. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But the sound leaves a little bit to be desired usually. So it's a good thing to have a little backup plan because sound is so important. So if you're doing like a virtual party or an event, or you're doing a longer video or something like that, I would still definitely say, like, use your mobile phone camera over and above your laptop. It will always be a better camera, but you want to improve your sound if you can. So the first thing is, step number one is AirPods, but these babies are not as good as something that you plug into your phone. I'm not so sure that I can tell you why, except that I know that my sound is always better if I'm using my earbuds. So I always have a set of these on handy, and it just depends where I am as to which of these I'll use. If I need to be further away from my camera, of course, the earbuds are not going to work so well if you need to be further back from your camera, or if you're doing a demonstration where you're holding loads of products and things like that up. So you want to be able to move away from your camera a little bit more. So you just got to like weigh up the situation where you're at and what you're doing. Now, I'm going to give you a third option for sound. So this I've made item number one because these are kind of your stock standard, come with the phone, right? AirPods, not so much, but you get where I'm going. So that's number one, is having your earbuds or your AirPods available. Now, the next one is where we go up a step. And this is certainly still related to sound, but this is where we take it to another level. Now, I love these. I have got a number of these around. I keep one in my car. This is just me. Again, you don't need to do this, but I keep one of these in my car. I've got one in my handbag and one on my desk. And these are lavalier lapel microphones. Now, there's a little hot tip I'm going to give you with these, and that is when you buy one of these, make sure that you consider the cord length. The reason I say this, and this is the brand I prefer, is the SmartLav brand. I've used lots of different brands, and for me, these ones have been the most reliable, but I know that you can get loads of different things on Amazon particularly. But what I will say is that if you buy these, and this one is exactly what I'm about to say, if you buy these off the shelf or straight off Amazon, you don't check, they'll come with only a 1 meter cord. Now, that's okay if that's okay, but if you want to be able to move around, I've actually got 6 meter cords. This is all in a big messy bundle here, I know. Not very organized of me, is it? But I prefer to have a long cord because that way, if I'm with someone else, or if I need to move around, or if you are doing Thermomix or you're holding products and you want to be able to move around, or you want to be able to, have that flexibility and freedom, it doesn't matter how far away you are from your camera, the sound will still be fantastic. Now, this is not going to be like it is if you're using a pod microphone like I am right now. I get that, but this is going to be a step up and better than using your AirPods or your earphones. So it's a good thing to have around if you can. Now, cost-wise, you're looking between $30 to $70, depending on what brand you get, depending on where you buy them from. But my suggestion would be go to Amazon, have a bit of a look around on there, and you can get yourself something really good for not very much money. And they're a great thing to have floating around so that when you do decide to do that impromptu video, you've got it sitting there, you plug it in and you go. Now, you might be thinking, well, Sam, what about the ones that are cordless? Could I use a cordless one? You could, and I have done, but I'm going to speak from practicality here for a little moment. I like to know that I can pull this out from the bottom of my handbag and I can plug it into my phone and it will work. It will always, always work. It's plugged in, it's hardwired, it will go. The problem with something that's wireless for me, and this is a personal thing, is it has to be charged or it has to have the right battery available because, if you accidentally leave it on or it gets turned on in your handbag, all problems I've had, then you are going to have an issue when you go to use it. Or you need to make sure it's connected to the phone and there's no issues and it might drop out halfway through. Again, all problems I've had. Now, I will say that we've got it's a Rode Go, it's a Greg thing, and he's the tech guy. He loves this stuff. So he's got a Rode Go that he will often put on me and will use, and that is cordless, and it is fantastic. The sound is unbelievable. We've recorded a few videos using it where I'm miles away from the camera and I'm chatting away. I could be in a boat and you could be on land and I'm talking and you would not know. But again, it has to be charged. They cost about $300. I know there are cheaper versions, but it's just one of those things. And it's also got settings. I like to just know I can plug and go. I don't like lots of buttons. I'm like you guys. I don't like things to be really technically difficult. I like it to be easy because then I'm more likely to do it. And when it comes to video, I'd rather you be able to just be in the mood and do it and not have all of these things in the way. So for me, the less messing around, the better, which is why I like cords. So just throw that one out there. It's a little bit old school of me, but I kind of like old school. There's something special and cathartic about it. So I prefer to go that way. Okay, so that's number 2. So number 1 was having your stock standard earbuds and AirPods. I'll get that right eventually by the time we get to the end of this. And the second one is having, if you can, just a step up if you want to, having yourself a lavalier microphone of some description. The next one here is one that is so super basic and it can look like so many different things, but it is really, really important. And I want you to get into the habit for video and photographs, no matter which one you're doing, to always, before you go, clean your lens. This one's so important because what will happen is if you get the simplest little fingerprint on the lens of your phone camera, and remember your phone lives in the dirtiest of places, your pocket, your handbags. If you get a little smudge, the tiniest bit of oil off your finger, it looks like it throws light into your image that shouldn't be there. So I know the second someone hasn't cleaned their lens and they put a photograph up or a video up on Facebook, I can see it and it's like I want to go in there and fix it because you know that picture could be so much better. But we often forget to do it. So I'm in a huge habit that every time I do anything on my phone, no matter whether I'm using a front or back camera, I always give it a quick clean. Now, you can have Enyo cloth or a Norwex cloth or I know Lorraine Lee do cloths. This is a cloth out of my glasses case, all right? You've got them lying around everywhere. Or use your clothes. Usually the back of my top, whatever top I'm wearing, will be fine. Don't use tissue because it will leave lint on your lens, which will cause the same problem. It often looks like there's a filter. So if you've got grease on your lens, it will look like there's a filter over it, a really hazy filter, kind of like a hazy bad version of an Instagram filter, only not one that you want to be using. So give it a really quick clean. You don't need to spray it with anything. You don't need to use anything tricky. Your clothing will do. But if you want to really protect your lens, it's probably more ideal to have a cloth like this around. But I'm going to be really honest, 90% of the time I'm using the back of whatever top I'm wearing. I'm just being a bit mindful to be careful with the lens of my camera. But let's face it, those lenses are tough. They live in pretty tough places. So every time you pick it up, not when it's dirty, not sometimes, not every second time, every time you pick this thing up and you go to take a photograph or you go to do a video, give it a quick wipe just to make sure it's clean and don't use tissue. Okay, so that is number 3, is having yourself a cloth of some sort floating around, or be prepared if you're not going to use a cloth to use your clothing. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, we're going to talk about lighting. So you've got sound is one of the top 3 things you need to consider when you do video. The second thing you need to consider is lighting. Now, most of the time, you're going to have the luxury, I'm hoping, of natural light. Natural light's going to be your best friend when it comes to lighting. And the best thing to do is before you hit go live or before you hit record or whatever you're doing, just move your camera around a little bit just to work out where the best lighting is. So right now, we've got a lot of natural lighting in our office. Right now, I've actually got my windows are side on to me. And I do that on purpose because if I turn around this way and if the camera were here, I would be overexposed. If I turn this way and I have my camera over here and the light source is behind me, I'm going to be quite dark and in shadow. So the best thing to do is have your light positioned so that it's giving you the benefit without detracting from whatever the object is. Now, in addition to that, I do have in front of me, and this again is not a necessity, but it is a personal choice. I have in front of me a ring light. Now, I also have the ability, if I want to change that to warm or cool, depending on what's going on with the lighting around me, to turn it up, to turn it down, so I can adjust that. But the big ring light that I've got here is not something that you need, and it's not something that everyone has. So here's what I would recommend that you have floating around if you can is a little ring light. These are great because they clip to your mobile phone, and depending on which camera you use again, but this will clip over your selfie cam so that you can turn this on to be as bright as you want. And a lot of them will also have a warm, cool light that you can choose from. So you can see how straight away that improves, if I'm holding that up, the lighting on the object or me or whatever it is that I'm using. Now, there are loads of different versions of these floating around. You can get them for anything between $10 and $100. You don't need to spend that. These ones that I got are around about $15 to $20 from JB Hi-Fi, I think I got these ones from, and they're great. There are some other ones. I don't have it in front of me, but there are some that you can get that you've got like a clamp for your phone and then the ring light around the clamp. There's loads of different versions of these that you can have. Just when you do get one, I recommend that you get one that gives you the option of warm and cool lighting, and preferably gives you the option of turning the light up or down, depending on how much of it you need. Now, don't think that just because this clips onto your phone that that's where it should belong either. Sometimes you don't want it direct at your face. Sometimes you want to be able to, I'll just turn that back on, you want to be able to have it off to the side so you can hold it wherever you need it. You can position it somewhere depending on what your lighting is around you. It's not making a big difference on me right now because I'm already in quite a heavily lit space, but you'd notice a big difference if you were anywhere else. So you can see that you can move that around depending on where you need that light. So that's number 4. Now, number 5 for me is probably one of the top things here. I would say if I'm to pick 2 things, it would be sound and stability is really important. And you guys have heard me talk about Benros before, but I'm just going to talk about stabilizing in general here. I choose to use a Benro because that's what we've got, that's what we use, and it's the best one that I've come across, but there are so many different versions out there that you can get. What I will say is that I've used a lot of really crappy tripods that bust and break. The Bluetooth shutters only work for a short period of time. So what I would say is get yourself something that you can have in the bottom of your bag that you just don't have to think about. It doesn't get in the way. But when you need stability, you've got it, right? It's really handy. So I like to use something that's got a tripod bottom on it, so I can position my phone and have it sturdy no matter where I'm at. I also like to have something that extends. So if I need to be able to have some height, I can. And I like it to be able to fit any device. So these are great because it doesn't matter what phone you're using. You've got a little stretchy bit that will adjust to it. The other thing for me, and this is just a little bonus extra, but the thing I do like about these ones is you've got a little Bluetooth shutter that clips on and off, and it will allow you to take a photograph from up to 6 meters away. So the cool thing about this is if I want to take a selfie, I don't have to make it look like I'm taking a selfie. I can make it look like someone's taking a photo of me if I want to. And you can also stop and start videos with these, which is really cool. So Greg and I will often use that if we want to do a pre-recorded video, but we don't want to be touching the screen. So you don't have, like, people aren't seeing you do that, which is cool, especially if you're not editing. And I'm not a huge fan of editing. I do have a team that does a bit of that, but if I can avoid it, I will at all costs because it means I can just get stuff up and done. I just want to record and get it on with. So Bluetooth shutter is a really handy thing. But the main thing I'll say is stabilizing your phone before you go live, before you do any video recording, because you don't want to shake, and you also want to make sure that nothing's going to happen. If there's a big gust of wind or something like that, you want to be protected if you're outside, and it will allow you to position your camera. Now, a little hot tip when it comes to video and positioning of camera. Number 1, when you position your camera, it's best to have it either at eye level or, depending on what it's for, slightly above or slightly below. So if you are slightly above, and I mean slightly, so your eye level is slightly looking down at the camera, it gives you a position of authority. So it's kind of like putting you in the position of leader, in a sense, subconsciously. If you position the camera ever so slightly above eye level, it makes you really approachable and makes people feel imagine what it's like when you're a kid and the adult comes down to your level or stands above you or gets below you. It's that psychology. So just know that where you position your camera does matter. And the reason I say this is because often I see people positioning their camera without thinking about it. It'll be down low and they'll be looking down at it. And if you're looking down at a camera like that, it's like being the adult berating the child, even if that's not what you're doing. Subconsciously, everyone's looking up at you, right? So try and get your camera as close to eye level as you can so you're speaking to people on their level. All right. So you'll notice that our camera is fairly close, just a little bit above eye level. So it's the best spot for it to be. It'd probably be better if our camera were ever so slightly down, but we've got lots of screens here, so we can't do that. So having your camera positioned as close to eye level as you can is ideal. Now, the last little hot tip I want to give you just before we wrap up is when you are doing video, the reason I talk about stabilizing is because if you're holding your camera and you're moving around, or even if you're standing still, there's going to be a level of shake in your hand. Even if you've got the steadiest hand ever, there'll still be a level of shake going on. If you can get your phone into something that you can hold like a tripod, it will take a lot of that shake out. There is another step up, which is a gimbal. That's what we call a phone stabilizer, which will actually hold your phone perfectly still no matter how much moving you do. We've got some of those, but again, I don't think they're overly necessary, and I very, very rarely use them because I don't carry them around on me all the time. So what I would rather do is just have my tripod and I will hold my phone in that, or I'll position my phone somewhere out of my hands so that I'm getting that shake out of the camera. So guys, I hope you found that helpful today. Just some quick hot tips on how to do video and some of the cool tools that we use as an everyday thing. And I literally carry these around in my bag. They don't take up very much space all of the time. But if I happen to be in a position where I don't have any of these things and the only thing I've got is my phone in my pocket, I still take any opportunity to show up, because at the end of the day, this is about you connecting with your audience. And the best way to do that is to literally be there. So don't let technology and tools be the reason that you don't go live. Don't procrastinate or record your videos, but instead have these available so that you've got them if you need them. But at the end of the day, this is about you rocking up. So get out there, have a crack. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I look forward to seeing loads of videos out there from you guys very, very soon. But thanks for tuning into this episode. We'll see you again next week, and bye for now.